Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Department, decision-making meeting. Housekeeping rules: if the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. Please assemble at Queen Victoria's statue in front of the civic offices. In order to comply with the Portsmouth Cultural Trust fire marshal regulations, anyone who signed in at the Guildhall reception desk should remember to sign out when leaving the building after today's meeting. Live streaming: may I draw everyone's attention to the fact that the meeting will be live streamed, filmed from a camera to fixed location at the back of the meeting room, and the recording will be on the Council's website. The cameras will mainly capture the backs of anyone making deputations. We haven't got any today, so that should be okay. But there will be some footage of them as they approach and leave the table where the microphones are located, and of people entering or leaving the room whilst the meeting is in progress. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record this meeting on the understanding that it neither disturbs the meeting nor records those stating explicitly they do not wish to be recorded. Please can everyone remember to use the microphones provided when they are speaking. Thank you. Have we got any apologies?
Yes, Councillor Heaney hopes to join us after 5 o'clock.
Thank you. Hopefully, yes. Have we got declaration of any members' interest? Councillor Bosher? No, I haven't either, I don't think, anyway. Yes. So, right, I'll start. Well, you start with yourself, Simon, we go around this way.
Yes, I'm Councillor Simon Bosher. I'm the Conservative spokesman for Traffic and Transportation.
Lynn Stagg, Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation.
Joanne Miles-Smith, Democratic Services.
Felicity Tibbury, Acting Assistant Director of Transport.
Simon Bell, Principal Public Transport Planner.
Kevin McKee, Parking Manager.
Denise Bastow, Parking Office Manager.
Karen Wigley, Professional Lead for Occupational Therapy, Adult Social Care. Thank you.
Wayne Leighton, Finance Manager.
Thank you. If it's okay with you, Simon, we're going to start with agenda item 6, because then Karen can do her bit and leave. So are you going to present this, Denise, or is it Kevin? Thank you.
Thank you. This report has been put together to advise members that the National Blue Badge Scheme, which has been extended to include applicants with hidden disabilities, came into effect on the 30th of August 2019. It also explains how we'll be assessing applicants under the hidden disabilities new criteria and who will review any appeals against decisions. The assessment process for applicants who apply under the hidden disabilities criteria will be different to those who have a walking disability. They currently attend, if they're not automatically eligible, often they're asked to attend an actual mobility assessment. That's not appropriate under the for those who have hidden disabilities. So the new application form has been put together, which has got a very specific set of questions, which Karen has very kindly, and she's been very involved in putting that together to make sure we ask the right questions. We then verify that against the information provided by professionals who are supporting and involved with the applicants to make the decision. So there will be no need for people to actually attend an assessment personally. We may have to go back out to ask people for more information to clarify, but the whole idea is to make the assessment process as simple as possible and not to put any undue stress on those with hidden disabilities. It's also recommended that any appeals against decisions that are made to turn down applications continue to be reviewed by myself as Parking Office Manager and Karen Wigley as Professional Lead for Occupational Therapy for the Council, which we've been doing since 2012. So hopefully you will agree the recommendations as part of the report.
Thank you, Denise. Simon.
I mean, personally, I totally support this. Could I ask, because I'm assuming that you're going to approve this, perhaps Denise, if you could, because I'm beginning to get a lot of questions about this from people, or in some instances parents of young people with hidden disabilities, as to how they go about doing this. And it might be a suggestion for the benefit of ward councillors if there was perhaps a sample of the application sheet, and perhaps like a one-pager of who councillors have to signpost people to, and perhaps a very short overview of what the process is. I'm not saying they're going to take it over, but it's who we direct the right people to, and if they ask us the sorts of questions they're likely to be asked, then we've got perhaps a copy of the application sheet, even if you put sample through the middle of it, so something that's indicative, so we can make sure that we don't add to any stress by pushing people in the wrong direction, but we're getting them to the right people first time. Maybe that could go out to perhaps all 42 under that basis, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think that's a very sensible suggestion. Denise?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I mean, obviously, just to give you a very quick overview, and then maybe whether Karen wants to come in on the actual sort of eligibility criteria. But basically, people have two options to apply. They can either apply online through the gov.uk website, which is a national website. They put the authority in that they're a resident of and follow the application process, which comes direct to us, or they can actually ask us for an application form through the Blue Badge team, which is within the parking section of the City Council. So hopefully we can sort of cover all processes from people. People can come in and actually talk to us if they're really not sure about what information they need to provide. As I said, the new application form, we've done a very different form, asked a very specific set of questions to ask people to explain, and not just like a yes or a no answer. But yes, we can make sure we get that information out to all members so that they can be, ready for any questions from any applicants. I think the important thing to point out is that actually it's not a condition-based scheme. I think there is an understanding or a thinking from a lot of people that actually I've got a condition, so therefore I'm going to be automatically eligible. It's more about the impact that their condition has on them actually when they're travelling between the vehicle and their destination. But I don't know, Karen, whether you want to expand a bit more.
Yeah, one of the big things that would be really helpful for us, I think, if anybody's approached about blue badges, is for people to consider how a blue badge is going to make any difference. And that's the crux of the legislation, is that, the people that you're talking about, particularly perhaps parents, are usually the autism spectrum. And the way the press have advertised this new legislation, hidden disability, has been very much, if you've got hidden disability, you're entitled to a blue badge, which is actually not the case at all. It's about the impact that the blue badge will have on you and the difference it will make. So, for instance, if you're always going to have somebody with you because you've got no sense of road safety, you're always going to have somebody with you, regardless of whether you've got a blue badge or not. And it's getting people to understand that the blue badge needs to be able to make a difference between your journey, your car, and the destination you're going to. The other big difference in this legislation is around coping strategies. And what it's saying is if people are using coping strategies and they're effective, then that's absolutely fine. So you may well be very, very anxious, for instance, and only go out short distances if you're accompanied by somebody. And if your coping strategy is that you go out accompanied, then your coping strategy is effective and your blue badge won't be awarded. And that's where we're going to, people are going to need time to understand that. And when people are being refused badges and getting appeals, that's what it's going to be around. Because we've done the assessment, we've gathered all the information from the professionals, but actually the strategies that you're using are effective, and the blue badge is actually not going to make any difference. So we're absolutely keen to give blue badges to people who, it'll make a difference to them. But I think there's a bit of misconception in the press about it all.
That's sort of where I'm coming from about giving. I'm loath to use the word advice because I don't want to see councillors being put up as experts in awarding blue badges. Far from it. That's not our role whatsoever. But when you have a physical disability, the routes towards a blue badge are pretty clear in that respect through your GPs, etc., and whatever. This legislation, as you pointed out, is going to raise probably more questions than answers in a lot of instances, and all I'm suggesting is something for councillors to make sure that, because we are going to get the questions, and I'm already getting the questions, where they will come to us about it, in being able to put people in the right direction, but also emphasising that it's not our decision, but it's just making sure that we're not adding to any stress levels by putting people in different directions. So something that says, yeah, the government website, all through this is where you need to go, and whatever will be fine, because I think this is going to be is a positive step, but I think it's also going to be a logistical minefield to a certain degree as well.
Thank you. Denise, have we had many applications in yet?
Yeah, as of Monday, we'd actually had 99, and about half of those came in within 2 days. So it's actually started to slow down and sort of spread out. We've actually already undertaken quite a few of the assessments, and at the moment we've basically approved about 30% of them. We've refused about 50%, and we've asked for more information on 20%. So, but it's still early stages, but you know, we obviously had a big influx as soon as the 30th of August came along. As I said, within a couple of days we'd had already, you know, 50 come through, but it's sort of starting to spread down. But at the moment we're being able to keep up with the assessing and not delaying the decisions, which was obviously something we were concerned on, and obviously we took on some temporary resources to make sure we weren't going to be delaying any decisions.
It also might be worth, I'm probably building up unnecessary work here, but you've obviously had a large proportion of refusals there. Those are the sorts of scenarios where members will get, I've just been refused a blue badge, what do I do now? There's a frequently asked question. Again, it would be useful, rather than going away and finding it if they're not familiar with it, to actually have a crib sheet of some description that says, this is what you need to do, as in who you actually go to if you wish to appeal it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that actually, the decision letter that goes out to the individual, if it is a rejection, does explain that how they can appeal, but it's, you know, we can obviously expand on that and to explain the extra information if they want to, rather than just saying I don't agree with the decision. They need to explain why.
Can I just ask about the 10 points and the 12 points? Because I think it's automatic, isn't it? If you have 10 points, but not if you have 12, it's not?
No, it's... No. Yeah, it's very specific, isn't it?
It's very specific, and again, that's been around a lot of the misinformation that's been in the press. So the 10 and the 12 points relates to the PIP assessment. Yeah, so it's the PIP assessment, so people are awarded points. So it's a very specific... There's a couple of criteria that actually get 10 points on the PIP assessment, and it's one specific criteria that says, I'll find it and tell you what it says. Where does it say what it is? Yeah, so it's 10 points for the planning a journey, and it's called a descriptoree. So in the legislation, it's the descriptoree that is and it is cannot undertake any journey because it will cause overwhelming psychological distress. So when they get the award letter from PIP, it says you've been awarded 10 points for descriptoree, and it says those words, and that is the only PIP award that people get automatic qualification for the blue badge. So again, we've had people who've been getting 12 points, expecting to be automatically granted it, and it's, you know, it's irrelevant 12 points. It's that descriptor that's the relevant bit.
So what happens if someone does have 12 points? Because I can think of some individuals who've got 12 points.
They would apply in the usual way. So they'd apply on the application form and go through the assessment that we're doing for anybody, whether they've got PIP or not.
Right, and younger people who've got disability living allowance, do they automatically qualify?
Only if they get the higher rate mobility component of it.
Right.
Which is the same as it is currently under the physical route. So if you get the higher rate mobility component, then it's an automatic qualification.
But that doesn't necessarily apply to the hidden disabilities, is it?
Yeah, if anyone gets the higher rate mobility allowance.
Right, good.
But the hidden disability, you're unlikely to get the higher rate mobility because that is all around physical mobility. So it'll be the PIP award under that descriptoree that relates to the hidden disability.
I think I understand. Okay, thank you. well, I'm happy to. I think it's great. Quite a few people have said to me it's about a long time coming in, and they're so pleased that it is coming in. So I'm very pleased to accept all the recommendations. You agree, Simon? Yes? Yeah. Brilliant. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in as well. So now we go back to item 3, I think, yes? Right. Is that you, Felicity?
Thank you. So this report is on the review of discretionary travel before 9:30 for disabled pass holders. So at the Traffic and Transportation Decision meeting on the 14th of March 2019, a report was taken outlining the Council intended to investigate an extension of the use of concessionary bus passes to allow disabled people to use it for all-day travel. Following this, the bus companies were contacted and a trial commenced on the 28th of April 2019. Following the introduction of the trial in April 2019, unfortunately only 3 months' data is currently available. With such limited data, it is difficult to establish if this trial has been successful. Therefore, we are proposing to extend the trial until the 31st of March 2020. This will allow for further data and robust analysis to be undertaken. During this time, a public consultation will also be undertaken, and these results will be included in a decision report, which will be brought back to a future TNT for a decision. Therefore, the recommendation of this paper is that an extension to the trial of the discretionary disabled bus pass before 9:30 until the 31st of March 2020 is approved to enable consultation and a robust evaluation of the trial. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got one point, and that is on 3.4. I think I'm reading this correctly. It says, during the trial period, Portsmouth City Council has allowed concessionary travel all day, Monday to Sunday, and bank holidays. That is only, isn't it, for disabled people?
Yes, that's correct.
I think that should be in, because otherwise people will say, hang on, it's said in the report. Okay. Thank you. Simon, any comments? It wasn't, it was 6 months, but we're 3 months into it, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So it was in the information item, and it was under section 3.5 where it said that we would investigate, look into the extension of the use of concessionary bus travel for disabled people, of which this was an option.
Just curious as to why it wasn't a decision report.
So I think at this stage no decision has been asked. It's a trial, and we're looking to extend that trial to gather information to understand if this is the best way forward.
So this is 3 months into a 3-month trial.
3 months
Yes.
into a 6-month
6-month trial, sorry, 6-month trial. Yeah, 3 months into a 6-month trial. And you effectively, you'll just, rather than leave it another 3 months to say, can we extend it? We've got enough data. You want to do that 3 months in because you're not collecting enough data. Is that what we're saying?
We're more than 3 months into the trial. We're about 5 months into the 6-month trial, but we've only got 3 months worth of data, and those 3 months are limited months because they're over the summer period, where it doesn't necessarily reflect the true travel patterns of the users would have and the purpose of introducing the trial. So it's proposed to extend it for effectively another 5 months too.
And we have to let the bus companies know, don't we, a month in advance before anything changes, so that's the reason it's coming in now. Right, well, I'm happy to, again, I've met quite a few people who've said this is fantastic, because they work or they go to college or something like that, so I'm very happy to accept all of the recommendations. Right, find it in a minute. Item number 4, review of the companion pass entitlement. Is that you again, Felicity? Right, thank you.
Thank you. So this report is to seek approval to pilot a revised companion pass entitlement criteria for a 1-year trial. Under the existing scheme, eligibility for a companion pass is met by those people who are entitled to housing benefits, along with a letter from a qualified medical practitioner stating that they are unable to travel alone. The scheme is being revised so that so that it is based on a service user's need for a companion and not their financial circumstances, and this is in line with national government guidance. Further to the note above, housing benefit is also being replaced by universal credit, therefore this will not be able to be used as an entitlement. Therefore, the recommendation of this paper is that the 12-month revision to the companion pass entitlement criteria, and also that it is noted that the requirement to review the scheme is after 12 months, which we'll bring back.
Simon.
Again, I totally agree. I mean, if you've got a disability that entitles you to a companion, I don't think your personal finances should feature in that. It doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire or not. I mean, you need a companion, and I travel on buses more than enough and see people with companions, and it isn't about the money in their pocket as far as I'm concerned, so totally support that, totally.
Happy to agree with the recommendation. There's only one recommendation, isn't it? Right. Right. We'll get there. Item number 5, I think, is the next one, isn't it? Albert Road, yes. I have got one written deputation. Shall I read it out? Do I have to? Yeah? Okay. Right. It's from a resident of Chelsea Road. Unfortunately, I'm able to attend. Right. However, I would ask the following question of Councillor Stagg, had I been able to attend. I request Councillor Stagg addresses the following points of the meeting, such that the responses are recorded in the meeting record minutes. The questions are posed since the summation within the decision report fails to appreciate the objections raised. Number 1, approval of the extension will set precedent for Albert Road such that other businesses could reasonably request the same in the future. The Council will be more likely to approve further requests due to the precedent and to avoid the potential for challenge in the case of denial. So could Councillor Stagg authorise the extension? Should Councillor Stagg authorise the extension, how will Councillor Stagg ensure that further requests for changes to Albert Road are balanced against the needs of residents in the MD zone? Significant changes to Albert Road will increase pressure on the MD zone, and both must be addressed together. Secondly, the request for extension has been made by a single business. Why does Councillor Stagg believe it is acceptable to act upon a request for specific changes to parking bay timings made by a single business, but failed to act previously during the MD zone consultation when a significant proportion of residents requested more appropriate timings for the zone? There was clear projection in the time of operation of the MD zone, and that a 2-hour window will not address the parking problems experienced by residents who live on roads adjoining Albert Road. I urge Councillor Stagg to carefully consider approval in this instance. Changes to Albert Road should be, as a whole, not incremental and certainly not to suit an individual business. Parking for Albert Road must be considered within the context of an impact on the MD parking zone. Before I come to you, Councillor Bosher, Kevin, would you like to make some comments on that? I've made some comments myself, so.
Yes, I think the reason for proposing the change is that the current restriction allows 2 hours parking but up to 6 o'clock, but that actually means that somebody parking at 4 o'clock can use those 2 hours and then park all the way through to 8 o'clock in the following morning, which means there's no turnover of space in those bays, so it affects any business that opens later than 4 o'clock. So making the change now would allow us to assess the impact of that change when we come to review MD after the 6-month operating period, which has already been agreed. The requirements between businesses and residents do need to be balanced. There are currently around 1,500 resident permit holders in MD and 1,700 spaces. The implementation of the controls in MD may well push more people to park in Albert Road, more residents to park in Albert Road, and so there needs to be some balance for the businesses.
Simon.
This is effectively driven by the timings of the MD zone then, isn't it? Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, the effect of the MD zone may push more residents to park in Albert Road and if they park in Albert Road after 4, they can stay there till 8 a.m. the following morning. So it's to introduce an area where there's a turnover of space to benefit the businesses that open after 4 o'clock.
And not an area where they could not buy a second permit and fight for a space there as a means of escaping a second permit. So effectively it's a loophole, isn't it, as a result of MD zone that we're looking to close.
It's to create the right balance, or create a balance between the needs of the residents and the needs of the businesses.
This particular request came from one, it's the cat clinic, and looking at it as an individual thing. And I appreciate, that all businesses can have their requests, but the majority of people go to the vets after they finish work, so it's that time going up until past 6 o'clock. I know from when I take my animals to the vet, very often you're held up there because the previous patients have taken longer, etc. And from my experience, I mean, there are a lot of people own cats, a lot of elderly people own cats, and having the experience of trying to take a cat in a cat box, a terrified cat because it doesn't want to be in the cat box, and they're jumping all around the place. If you have to walk a long distance, it's very, very difficult. So I think in this particular case, it's the specifics of that particular cat clinic. Other places around them, it's not exclusively for the cat clinic because other people can park there. It's not just for them. It's not a designated to the site of the cat clinic.
Don't look at me like that. You're nervous. Okay, what is to stop then other businesses that have issues looking to do exactly the same thing if the parking restrictions down there don't suit the model of their particular business? Have you looked at some of the other businesses down there to see whether there might be a further impact with the parking zones down there and the timings of parkings to see whether, to use the phrase, potentially opening up a can of worms?
Making this change will allow us to judge the impact on the businesses by having a bay that operates until 9 o'clock.
We did actually look at places like hairdressers who are less likely to be working past 6 o'clock. So they wouldn't be that impacted. But because I think there's 4 parking spaces there, aren't there, in this bay? So people who want to pop into, I think it's one stop there, they can park there, but they're not there for 2 hours. So it does roll over for several. But it shouldn't really impact too much on MD. However, if it does, it comes into the review of MD, which is before April next year. I mean, it's not ideal, but I think it's something we've just got to sort of try out, and if it doesn't work, then it has to be reassessed. So I'm happy for this to go ahead as it is, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah.